A couple weeks ago, I made a video about each country's most successful Summer Olympic sport. Though it was quite a bit of work, I had a lot of fun making it. So with the Paris Olympics officially closed, I thought I'd update the map, with a couple of adjustments. So let's get into it. You can watch my previous video if you want a complete explanation of my methodology, but I'll quickly give the basics. It's hard to judge a sport like swimming that has 37 events per Olympics, meaning 37 opportunities to medal, against a sport like Taekwondo with only 8. Because of this, I couldn't just see which sport each country has won the most medals in and call it a day. Instead, I looked at the percentage of medals won in a sport per event held. That might not make complete sense now, but I promise I'll go over an explanation a little later to clarify this. Anyways, I also separated individual sports and team sports, which I define as an event where you have teammates in only 2 events per Olympics, usually 1 competition per gender. This allows for the widest representation of different sports. These 5 points also applied, which sum up to saying that we're only looking at current sports from current nations from only the Olympics a specific country attended, and those sports must have had more than 15 total events, just so the percentages better reflect history. So these were the rules I made for my original video. Now to the changes. First, it just should be highlighted that triathlon can now be fully counted, as after Paris it has reached the 15 event threshold. Second, I separated 3-on-3 basketball from its 5-on-5 counterpart, adding another sport to the team column. And third, and most importantly, I'm now using a weighted medal system. I can't tell you how many comments I got chastising me for using a total medal count instead of the gold medal count. Some made some valid points, while others not so much. I guess because of my accent, people assumed I was American, even though I'm Canadian, and raised the point that winning first in events like the Super Bowl is the only thing that matters. But is it? Are you really going to tell me that the Jets are a better franchise than, say, the Vikings just because of one Super Bowl win in 1969? I don't know. But anyways, I do concede that total medal count isn't the best way, but I still refuse to give gold outright superiority. Instead, I'll use a system that was first suggested by J.V. Williams, a weighted medal count. This means that instead of just adding up all the medals for a total, I gave values to the specific medal color. 3 points for gold, 2 for silver, and 1 for bronze. Then you can add these up to get a weighted medal count. Then divide this by the number of events in a specific sport to give a system that I'll admit reflects success better. Although it's not really a percentage I'm calculating anymore. So I'll call it the weighted medal score. Each country's sport with the highest weighted medal score is the most successful. Here's a full-on example of the whole process, and what better country to use than one that wasn't even in Paris, Russia. The current form of the country, the Russian Federation, first competed in a Summer Olympics in 1996, so any games before that do not count. Of course, due to just a smidgen of doping and warmongering, Russians haven't been able to compete under their flag in 2020 and 2024, so those games are taken out of this specific country's event count as well. As for when they have competed, Russia has won 34 gold, 27 silver, and 23 bronze medals in gymnastics. Now we multiply the golds by 3, the silvers by 2, keep the bronze where they are, and add them all up to get a weighted medal count of 179 for gymnastics. Divide that by the amount of gymnastics events in the 6 Olympics they've competed in, gets you a score of 1.183, making gymnastics Russia's most successful sport, barely beating out wrestling. After redoing this entire process for all 208 Olympic nations, here are the results. Let's do individual sports first. Of course, I'll reveal the changes by continent. Again, feel free to pause at any time to fully analyze, but let's get into it. In Oceania, the only change is that triathlon is now New Zealand's best sport, beating out sailing. The Kiwis, Australia, Samoa, and Tonga remain the only 4 countries to win a medal from this region. In Asia, there were a couple of changes, mainly North Korea, Tajikistan, and UAE switched sports, along with Turkey, who became more in line with its neighbors, having their most successful sport change from Taekwondo to wrestling. Also, I just want to point out how good South Korea is at archery. They won every single archery gold medal in 2024, so Hawkeye better watch out if he's ever in Seoul. Moving on to Europe now, and a big congratulations to Albania, who won their first 2 medals in Paris, both in wrestling. On to the changes. Portugal, the UK, Switzerland, and Austria all had their most successful sport changed to triathlon. I was particularly surprised how good Switzerland is at triathlon. But I guess it makes sense when you consider that triathletes are some of the fittest people out there, and the elevation of the Swiss Alps provides an ideal training ground. Moldova and Belarus change sports as well, while the Dutch remain the only country where cycling is its most successful. I think that is pretty fitting though. On to Africa, where there haven't been that many changes. Congrats to Cabo Verde for getting their first medal ever, a bronze in boxing. The only other switch is Egypt and weightlifting. Egyptian weightlifters have had success throughout the history of the Olympics, but their best result came in 1936, where they won 5 medals, beating out every other nation in weightlifting. No changes in South America this time, though I will give a shout out to Suriname swimmer Anthony Nesty. Nesty has won both of Suriname's only 2 Olympic medals, which includes a gold in the 100-meter butterfly in 1988. The swimmer is a legend in his home country, even having his likeness put on a banknote at one point, which I must say looks pretty awesome. Finally, we have North America, where we see quite a bit of changes. Dominica and St. Lucia get their first medals ever, both being golds. Tia Lafone won for Dominica in the women's triple jump, while St. Lucian's Julian Alfred took home the women's 100-meter title, one of the Olympics' marquee events. What a way to capture your country's first medal. The US is also a prominent change. In my last video, I talked about despite the lack of recent success, the Americans' dominance in the early days of diving made it the country's most successful. Well, swimming has finally caught up. In both the new weighted medal and total medal system, the American swimmers found enough success in 2024 to glide their sport past diving. Although the men didn't have the best Paris Olympics, the American women were awesome in the pool, with 5 of them winning multiple gold medals, including the great Katie Ledecky. Canada's sport also changed to triathlon, with Simon Whitfield, a 2-time Canadian flag bearer, leading the way. I'll admit that triathlon is probably a bit too overrepresented in this map due to its relatively small event totals. For example, Austria has only won 1 triathlon medal, but it was a gold, so 3 points divided by only the 16 total events give a high weighted medal score. Although this will obviously even out as more and more Olympic triathlon events are held. On to the team sports, where there were not a lot of changes. With the new weighted medal system, football became Uruguay's most successful, while the awesome victory for the men in the Stade de France made rugby sevens France's sport. Latvia is the only representative of the new sport added, 3-on-3 basketball. I also want to apologize to Serbia. In my previous version, I had volleyball as the most successful sport, where actually water polo is by far their best. In fact, Serbia has won at least 1 medal in water polo in every Olympics since returning as an independent team in 2008. Congratulations to Morocco, who is the only country in Paris to win its first medal in a team sport, which was a bronze in men's football. That Argentina-Morocco game was one of the craziest matches I've ever followed, and it definitely shows how passionate Moroccans are about the sport. Finally, I just want to finish off with highlighting the Fijian Rugby Sevens team. Fiji has less than 1 million people, yet their rugby teams are stronger than nations with 1 billion. The Fiji men won the first 2 gold medals in the sport, and although they fell short in these games, settling for silver, the strength and pride they showed was inspiring, and truly encapsulates the Olympic spirit. Thank you so much for watching. Here's a written list of all the nation's most successful sport. Of course, you can pause that as well at any time. I'll also put a link down in the description below with a spreadsheet with all this information. This took me quite a while, so please consider subscribing to help the channel reach 500 subscribers. Let me know what nation surprised you the most, and if you have any video ideas you want me to explore. See you next time.